discretion is advised. The following episode of Scary Parre contains graphic descriptions, disturbing subject matter, and real-life accounts of violence, crime, and trauma. These stories may be unsettling and are not suitable for children or viewers who are sensitive to graphic content. The content presented is for educational and discussion purposes only. We do not glorify violence, nor do we intend to exploit the victims involved. Listener discretion is strongly advised. If you choose to continue, brace yourself.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Scary Parre Podcast. I am your host, Perry T, and I'm so happy to have you guys with us. Make sure that you head on over to the YouTube page if you're not there, like the video, subscribe to the page, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of all of the Scary Parre action that we have. Tonight, we have a Q&A with the lovely, go ahead and introduce yourself because I don't want to mispronounce it.
Michael Belancio. I don't think I've been called lovely before, though, so thank you.
Okay, you're so welcome. One of my favorite. He's no stranger to the Scary Parre podcast. He's been on another episode before, when we were interviewing him about our serial killers and how he's tried a couple cases and things like that, or what that process looks like. So tonight we have him on the Scary Parre podcast because we are in the middle of our high-profile cult series where we're talking about high-profile cult leaders. So we talked about Jim Jones, Charles Manson, Keith Raniere, David Koresh, and next week we'll be talking about Warren Jeffs. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being here to answer some of my questions, because I got some questions.
All right. I got some answers, maybe.
Okay. So can we get a little bit, for those of people who don't know you, who are just tuning in to you, can we get a little of your background of who you are so that the source is credible?
All right. My name is Michael Belancio. I went to law school in Boston to Northeastern University School of Law and graduated in 1998. So I have been a lawyer. I am in my 29th year of practice. I have done civil law, criminal law. I've done just about everything. I've defended cases. I've defended serial killers. I have, in the last couple of years, decided I needed a change of pace, and I decided to try prosecuting. So that's what I'm doing now, and I'm enjoying it. And I've already had a couple trials and put a first-degree murderer behind bars for a life sentence and a child rapist. So not counting all the plea bargains that occur on top of that.
Oh, wow. Wow. So in your time as a lawyer, have you ever had and I say privilege lightly because I don't know if that's a privilege, but have you had the opportunity to try a cult leader or someone similar?
No. I think it is a rarity that a cult leader will get tried. If you look at some of the things that you've mentioned, those people are dead. So they'll never make it to trial. With that being said, cults, it's not a crime just to be part of a cult, because basically a cult is, just a group of people that puts someone in like religious veneration. And with David Koresh, it was David Koresh. With Charlie Manson, who was the new Messiah. With all of these guys, usually it's them that they have people venerating, and they get to have sex with everyone because of it, because they're the new Messiah.
Just a freaky way to spread religion. Like
it is. I think there's probably easier ways of getting laid. But if you got to start a cult, you got to start a cult. But you know what? For example, like the Hare Krishnas, some people would call them a cult. But are they really committing a crime? They're trying to sell you a flower in the airport. So there's no crime being committed.
Gotcha.
And then we talk about some of these other ones, and like a Charlie Manson, you're talking about him being the leader of taking the cult out and doing harm to third parties. Whereas like with a Warren Jeffs, you're talking about him harming the own members of his cult by having sex with underage girls and everything else that he was accused of and tried for. So you've got two different types of harms that you might be looking at, inward facing and outward facing. And I think that's an important distinction on some of these things, on how one might go about trying them.
Yeah. So let's play make believe here. You were giving the opportunity to represent or prosecute a cult leader. As a prosecutor, what is your process on that? From start to finish. He's going to court. You guys are in trial. He's going to court. But before you go to court, what's the process as far as that? Am I asking that question right?
Well, yeah, it's kind of broad. So let's just pretend that take a guy like Warren Jeffs. All right, and he's committing crimes against people that are in his cult. They're in his flock. They believe that he is a prophet of God and that everything he says is right. So how would I go about prosecuting a guy like that? Someone inside would have to be disaffected and want out. And without that, I don't think there's anything that could be done, because everyone else in the cult, because how their minds have been warped over time.
Yeah.
That
brainwashed.
I don't think you would ever have a cooperative witness. I don't think you'd have anyone filing a police report. You'd have nothing. So I don't know how to go about doing that.
So in a sense, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm so sorry. In a sense, someone would have to infiltrate and like undercover, like be an undercover for that.
Well, I mean, sure, that's a way, but it's hard to infiltrate a cult. It's not like an undercover police officer infiltrating some kind of gang or drug dealing cartel. This is an extended group of family members in a Warren Jeffs type situation. So that would be much harder to get in as an outside infiltrator. I think where you could get an outside infiltrator in is if you talk about the Nexium. And so I think it would be easier to get someone in infiltrating that once someone's got some kind of idea something's off. But until someone even, I think you're going to find something's off because someone's family member is going to be complaining that, hey, something's not right here.
So like what Terry, I don't know if you're able to see the comments on your end. But like what Terry, host of the show, said, hard to get evidence. So when trying and prosecuting cult leaders, is that the hard part of the case, is getting the evidence?
Yes and no. The other thing I was going to talk about after an infiltrator, if you get an infiltrator, well, they begin collecting evidence. But the other way is someone inside gets disaffected. They no longer like what's going on. Somehow the clarion bell goes off and they see the light and they're like, what am I doing with my life? And if that person goes to the police, then they become state's evidence. And still you got all these other people that are not going to turn state's evidence. Because they still believe that they're following the prophet and they're following God and they're going to go to hell or whatever other type of divine punishment that their cult leaders
Right.
told them will be inflicted if they don't.
Yeah. So, and just like Shakila said in our comments, she said it's sad if they leave, they may never see their family again. Because a lot of these people are tied in family wise, like going back to Warren Jeff, there's lineages of families that are tied into that cult.
Sure. And you know, I think that's right. It is sad, and they'd be making a big sacrifice to not only save themselves, but potentially save the other members of their family. But unfortunately, you watch some of these things like Warren Jeffs. The next guy steps up and just takes his place.
Oh, yes. I was so glad you said that. And next week, guys, make sure you're tuning in to Scary Parre next week, because I'm diving into Warren Jeff, but I'm also talking about the guy that tried to who tried to take his place. So make sure you tap into that. So we have we have an infiltrator. Let's say we have an infiltrator. You got someone to go in, get what you needed. You have some sort of evidence.
Yes.
From there, where do we go?
Where do we go? We need to figure out what crime they committed.
Okay.
All right. And again, is it an inward-facing crime or is it outward-facing crime? Are they hurting a member of their own versus going after innocent third parties out in the world?
Okay. So for the sake of example, let's say they're hurting a member of their own.
Okay. Yeah, that person just needs to. Were they a child when it started? So we'd have to get them to say, yes, this happened. I was this years old. He started touching me at that time. You can bring in experts. You can hire like neuropsychologists to interview them. If the cult's got interactions with the outside world, people that knew them before the bad stuff happened versus people that knew them after, that could testify to how they changed as a person after the crime happened. Those people would also provide information to the psychologists and neuropsychs and everything else to give them a basis for formulating an expert opinion. So there's ways to gather evidence, and in some ways, I don't want to say create evidence, but sometimes a case calls for an expert witness. And in that manner, you are creating evidence, but you're not creating it out of thin air. They're taking the building blocks of the case and making a wall for you. So that where they're painting a picture out of the various paints that you've given them, so that people can understand what's actually being done and have that talked about. I don't know. I guess it's almost akin to the same type of brainwashing that goes on in a battered woman situation, right? Over and over, these horrible acts are repeated. Self-worth is reduced, and thinking that this is what I deserve, even though somehow it feels off. Those are the things that kind of happen, and and a lot of times those women don't leave, or if they do leave, they wind up running back to their abuser, and it's just not. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to prosecute, because even in those cases, sometimes my witnesses disappear. And am I going to subpoena the battered woman and force her to take the stand? And, so there are these moral dilemmas, just even from the prosecuting side of, am I harming this person more, or am I saving them? And sometimes I don't know the answer. And if it's a kid, I'm always going to side with the kid to not hurt them more. I don't want to testify. We're gonna just take a step back and get what we can.
So at that point, are you trying to decide, are they not doing this out of fear, or are they not doing this because of loyalty?
Repeat that question. I don't. You mean being afraid to testify, or
right? So are they afraid to testify, or are they not testifying because it's more of a loyalty standpoint? As a prosecutor, do you have to take all that into account as well?
Yeah, I do. And sometimes it's encouraging people to get linked with the right resources. And a lot of prosecutors' offices have what are called victim advocates that have all those resources at hand and can link the person up with them. So in those circumstances, when it's almost a threefold thing. And one is they're so injured that they really can't go forward because it hurts too much to go forward. Then you have the other where they're afraid that this person's going to get out and kill them, or that their family's going to go after them, things along those lines. And then finally, you've got this whole culture of, oh man, you're being a fed, and everything that goes along with that, and breaking that cultural deal is even harder. And sometimes I know just a little bit about that from just I like hearing people's stories. Period. From all walks of life. I just love to listen to people's stories. And the more people's stories I hear, the more I understand how people kind of work.
We do. I'm sorry, go ahead. You're fine. Go ahead.
Well, I see we got a decent question, and we were kind of kicking this around before the show started. And, jury selection. I think that's a big part of the case. And jury selection is not really what you call jury selection. It's more of something called jury deselection. So you start with a group of 60 people, and you're trying to find the people who are biased one way or the other and get them thrown off the jury. And then you find the people.
Be gone.
Yeah, be gone. And then at the end, you got something called peremptory strikes, which I get this number of free shots to just knock jurors off. And so is the other side. And you kind of go back and forth in turns. And so it's kind of like you're playing chess. Do I think they want that person? Do I think they not? So it's kind of a little bluffing, a little bravado.
Gotcha.
And then you've got, included in that, you've got what's called Batson. And Batson's a case where it was Batson versus Kentucky, and the U.S. Supreme Court said that you can't strike someone merely because of their sex, their race, their religion, or their nation of origin. So as long as they're citizens, those are four. The same reasons you can't discriminate against anyone in the hiring world, in the rental world. You can't discriminate against them for that purpose in jury selection either. So, I can. The last jury we had, we were upset when we looked back and said, "Oh my God, we only have one woman on here." We were so concerned about racial balance in this case, because we wanted well-balanced jury, that there was only one woman. And it was a case where a man shot and killed his wife, shot her 3 times, took 6 steps away, turned back around, shot her 6 more times. During jury deselection, one guy talked about, and he was kind of half joking, but he's like, well, I could understand it. You know, it's like those are the people you want to know.
Yeah.
Right. I can
He
understand. No. It's just, there are some things that are just wrong. But in jury selection, no, I don't know that I'm going for men or women. I do think like in a case where a woman's getting abused, I think men on the jury wind up getting more angry at the defendant than women do. And
okay.
I don't know why that is. And it's just my experience. And it's kind of like my experience that sometimes I like to, a lot of jurors think the guy with a beard's hiding something. So I'll go clean shaven for a trial. I haven't since I became a prosecutor, and the beard's not failed me yet. But I got a weird comment there.
It's Twitch sometimes gives us bots. But
yeah, I was gonna say, we got the bots here.
hey, pay attention. Ask a serious question. But so if you were on the defense for a cult leader, how does that look? How I guess what I'm trying to say is, how could you?
Well, you know what? I'm allowed to interview witnesses, and they may or may not want to talk to me. And each state's got a different type of discovery. Like in Missouri, I could take a deposition of any witness I want, as long as I could subpoena them. In Kansas or the federal system, I can't. So the only thing I get are the statements that the police made, or whatever I could get my investigator to go get out of them. So,
that's interesting.
And typically there will be a protective order out there preventing my client that I'm defending from speaking with any of the victims. So, part of it is, maybe I tried to play on their sense of loyalty. And I can't tell someone to ignore a subpoena or anything, but people make their own decisions. All right. I can't tell anyone to avoid lawful process. And I wouldn't. But again, my job's to win the case for my client, by all means legal, when I'm a defense lawyer. And if that's working on emotions and exploiting the dynamic of abuse and loyalty that we were just talking about, well, that's my job in that circumstance, and I'm going to do what I have to do. And people may not like it, and it's very different as a prosecutor. You've got extra oaths and extra duties and things along those lines that you just cannot do things. As a defense lawyer, as long as I know that I'm not knowingly suborning perjury, I'm allowed to put forth any crazy theory, as long as my client didn't tell me that that's absolutely not true. And so there's a lot more leeway on the defense side to kind of poke holes in the government's case and show reasonable doubt. Now, again, I try to get jurors that, would I want Mormon jurors if I were doing Jeff's? I'm not quite sure. I haven't sat down and thought all of that out. But the crime, most of the crimes that he was accused of were sex with underage girls.
Yeah.
Period. And most jurors believe those allegations when young children testify. as to that. And I know it's often a he said, she said, but you know what? Sometimes, hey, you know what? The girl's 14 and oh, look, she's got a 2-year-old baby. And we can get genetic tests and, show that it's Jess is the father. And so there are other things that we can use as evidence beyond just the person's word. So, I mean, what we're talking about are just prosecuting normal crimes. It's just that you have a cult involved that makes the collection of evidence and who's going to be your witnesses very much different than your standard case. Your witnesses may be more hostile to you as a prosecutor than in a normal case.
Okay, so if you had to choose, which side would you prefer to be on? Would you rather be the defense or would you rather be the prosecutor in a situation like this?
Wow. You know what? I like the being on the side that is both sides are. Our system doesn't work unless both sides are there, right? And our system's set up to let more guilty people go free than it is to convict innocent people. I mean, you hear about innocent people being convicted because those are the stories that make the news. But most of the time, most of the people convicted are guilty. 98% of them plead guilty or more because they are in fact guilty. And man, if I had a fun enough case as the defense side and I were getting paid enough, I would love to do the defense side because it's about a different kind of puzzle and a different kind of acting and a different, and a different kind of incredulity that you get to use and righteous indignation and all these things that just kind of being a lawyer when you're in the courtroom, you got to know the evidence rules. You got to know the evidence. You got to know how to get the evidence into evidence. And that's part of being a lawyer. You've got to know what the law is. What am I trying to prove? But the best part of it is you get to be an actor on a stage. And that is fun. So how I would approach any given witness is different depending on who they are. An old lady who's just merely mistaken gets treated with kid gloves, but I'm pointing out why she's mistaken and just kindly get her to say, well, yeah, maybe. And, but someone that's knowingly lying, you bait a trap and you hit them over the head with a baseball bat. So it's the same manner. And I think with, in those cases where I've defended people who were accused of crimes against children, like Warren Jeffs was, how you cross-examine a child is very different. You never get like this Matlock moment where they go, I lied, but one time I did. And a young lady was 12. I said, I know you talked to the police. It was 2 years ago at this time. You gave them one story where you said this, and you gave them one story where you said this, and another where you said this, and today you're now giving a fourth different version. And she's like, well, yeah, I was a big liar back then. And but that's how you cross-examine a child is you just ask them a question. And you never know what a child's going to say. But, I still didn't get the case thrown out because of that. But still.
that probably was a big, turning point of that case.
It was. So instead of getting the potential of life with a minimum of 25 years, we finally and ultimately pled the case to 64 months. So that's a big win.
That's a real big win in my book. That's a big win. And then real quick, shout out to Lorena Johnson for sending the stars. That's what her comment is. It's blank. It's because she sent some stars. So thank you so much for sending those. We really appreciate you, and keep tapping in. We love that. Thank you.
All right. What are these stars?
That's a big win.
Teach an old man something. What are these stars?
So stars are, in a sense, like little gifts. So in other words, that's how we get paid on Facebook, is when people send stars. It's a little monetary gift. It's like pennies on the dollar, basically. Okay. Just a few pennies there, just depending on how much they send.
All right. So where are we going next in this conversation?
So okay, here we're going. Here is where we are going. If you had to say, what do you think is the scariest thing about cult leaders that most people don't realize?
I think for the most part, they will always lead to harm. And even in these cults that aren't necessarily committing crimes, it's getting people that are looking for something, right? I mean, they're looking for God. They're looking for meaning in their life. They're looking for love, and they're getting it fulfilled, but they're getting it fulfilled in a way that's unhealthy, as opposed to, I find any time that I try to solve anything by filling it with anything but turning to God, it's the wrong solution, right? So I think from my perspective, not just as a lawyer, but as a human being who's struggled through life, I think, it's like people looking for love in all the wrong places.
And I think that's what I find so scary too, is that these people can identify a need, a weakness in a need, right? And they prey on that.
Yes.
And that's the part that I find so scary, is that you're willing to prey on someone's weakness just so that you can get them to think for you, or you think for them. You change their mindset, you alter it because you're fulfilling that need that they're missing. They're missing love, they're missing support, financial worries they may have. You're providing them with every need they're missing.
Or you're getting them to donate their money to you.
Which is hashtag Nexium had all those rich people in that in their little organization, and everybody was shelling out money. That almost made me flip my table. Everybody was shelling out big money. He had big people in his cult. I'm just gonna call it a cult. He had big people in his cult.
Which, if we had to flip the tables, would you rather be the cult leader or no?
Now, in that one, I was going to be the cult leader. Call me Perry Rainier, because I was going to be running that.
Yes. But yeah, no, I really think that is, it's people that are hurting, getting taken advantage of. And even if the crime's not being committed, because that happens every day on a one-on-one basis, right?
True.
But how this is a difference in a magnitude of scale, is what it is. It's wrong on any level, but when it happens to more and more people, and usually it's younger people that are targeted, and those coming out of rocky situations. So
why do you think that is? Why do you think it's always younger that are targeted?
I think their brains are more malleable, right? I mean, the studies they've done lately show that your mind isn't fully developed till you're 25 years old, right? So then it stops growing and starts atrophying, and but not quite that quickly. But between that and lack of life experiences to truly understand what's going on. And I mean, it's like any of us can get fooled on any given day. Because you know what? You don't get far in life unless you trust to some degree, right? You gotta trust if you want to gain true relationships with people, as opposed to just surface level stuff.
Right.
So unless you're willing to trust, bad things happen. Well, they're not bad. You shield yourself from good things happening. But when you're younger, you don't know who to trust or who not to trust. And I think that's an easier way for them to get in. And this is just me speaking some psychobabble. But that's my opinion from my experience in life. And again, not with cults, but just with...
just in general.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to ask this. When we take a look at these cults and we take a look at their following, because since I've started this series, I've been watching a lot of cult documentaries, especially about Warren Jeff. Recently, I just watched one on Netflix that I encourage everyone to go watch. It's called Escaping Twin Flames. And it is about a husband and wife duo that call themselves Twin Flames. And they created a following of people to believe that they can find their divine twin flame. Okay. At first, it started off as, to me, it started off like as a matchmaking type of thing. But then it became a complete control type of thing. So my question that I'm trying to ask is, looking at the following of people that follow these cult leaders, do you ever wonder, like, how could you have... Well, this is going to sound so insensitive. I don't even know how to say it without it sounding insensitive. I'm going to say it like this. I apologize in advance for this sounding insensitive, but I'm going to ask my question anyway because it's my show. If you don't like the intensity of my show, you can leave. Okay. How does one be so weak-minded to where, like, did you get what I'm trying to ask?
I do. Almost even less sensitive. How can you be so stupid?
Yes.
How can you be so naive?
Yes. Okay. That's what I'm trying to ask, but I'm not trying to be insensitive about it because I know everybody has their own individual needs or whatever, but wow.
You know what? It's like when there's that hole there, though. It's just people are looking to fill the hole.
Yeah.
And, are they looking to fill it with alcohol or drugs, gambling, being loved by someone else, sex, which those two are different, but sometimes overlap, right? Yeah. I think it's just people looking to fill a hole, and when they hear what they think they need to hear that they think is going to fill that hole, that's when you're taken advantage of. And again, when I remember that the hole's God size, and that's the only thing that fills it, I don't fall prey to that stuff.
Right.
But it's we've all been weak at this world, and I've screwed up almost everything there is at this point in my life. But
yes, we've all had weak moments, and believe me, trust me, I know. I was just a few episodes ago when it was Mila and I, and we were on here talking, and we were talking about Perry T Management, and one of the quotes that we were diving into, they were promising business owners elevation in their business, more clientele, this, that, and the third. And I just told Michael right now that was a weakness that I probably would have fell for.
Right.
If you would have straight up told me I can take Perry T Management and elevate it in a way that you would not see possible, you'll get 50 to 100 clients a month. Your bank account will go 6 digits monthly, or like 6 commas or whatever. You could have bought me. You could have bought me.
Right. Yeah. It's there's no such thing as a free lunch. And you know, it's not just the weak moments, but it is once you make a decision, you know how hard it is to say I was wrong. So you go further into the decision and even further and further and further, because each step you take just reinforces the bad decision that you think it's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Jen's comment back up there so I can see it again. So Jen said some people are just looking for something that is missing in their life, and the people know how to prey on those things and insecurities. That is true. That is true. And that escaping that twin flame documentary, that's what those two the husband and wife combo did. The people that they were going after were people who were looking for love, who were insecure, who were lonely, and at their rock bottom of desperate. They were willing to pay somebody to teach them how to find their twin flame. They were at the rock bottom.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I think Jen's saying what we were saying in different words, and it's you know, it's that thing that's missing. And so whatever it's missing in that circumstance, these people are able to give it to them. Now, I think with the just listening to a bunch of the witnesses from the Jeff's cases, it's these young ladies were indoctrinated from birth up. It's different. And you hear some of them talking in retrospect that although I was part of it, something always felt wrong. But I was,
and it's sad in that particular organization or cult, because like you said, they start when they're babies. When they come out of the womb, they're preaching into them, you're going to be married, you are to be a homemaker, you are to be a wife, this, that, and the third. And they're teaching all the quote cult qualities that they're supposed to have, and they're starting young. They're breeding that into them.
Yeah, they are.
It's sad.
Yeah, they are. So I mean, I just don't know. I mean, it's why do these people do it? There's some evil people out there. You know, it's like you hear them talk about the dark triad, right? Yeah. And you know, some people got a lot of that in them, and just have no care for what their actions do to the third person. And you know, I mean, I guess all of us have the capability of doing horrible things within us, but you know, how human we are is how much we don't do these things. But you know, it's like these cult leader things make great specials because how many of them are there? You know, these aren't your everyday occurrences. I don't, you know, it's very low percentage of people in this world have that dark triad. And I mean, part of me says, how messed up are the cult leaders, though? You know, how mentally ill are they in the first place?
And then we also kind of have to take account into the cults that, just like you said, that aren't necessarily in the public eye, because there's cults out here that we don't know about. And according from some research that I did, the UK, and this is overseas, this is up there, the UK has approximately 2,000 cults.
Okay.
2,000 in the UK. But of course, they're not committing violent crimes. They're not, and we don't live over in the UK. We don't know what's being reported, but you know, they're under the radar.
Yeah, and I mean, like, look though, I mean, how many people are in those 2,000 cults? Even if it's, say, it's 100 people each. So the math on that, okay, 20,000 people. London itself is like 25 million people. So I mean, the the ratio of people is just so low of the people that start cults. I mean, it's low for the people that are in cults, but it's exponentially smaller for those that are controlling cults.
Yeah. Wow. So I have one more before I get into my last couple questions, I do have to do some paratisments. So for those of you guys who are just tuning in, paratisments are advertisements parody style. So let me go ahead and get those played for us. Our first paratisement, shout out to Knucklehead Clothing. He is our sponsor for the Perry Team Management family. You can get your Knucklehead clothing at www.knuckleheadclothing.com. Again, that is www.knuckleheadclothing.com. Our second paratisement, Perry Team Management is accepting new clients for podcast management, artist management, brand ambassador management, and virtual personal assisting. If you are interested and would like to book your consultation, you can reach out to me at Perry Thompson on Facebook and at Perry Team Management _, on Instagram. Also, businesses, if you are looking for a brand ambassador, you don't need to look no further. Milani Yvette, aka Lonnie Bands, is a brand ambassador. She is a social media influencer, an event host, and a podcaster. You can book her by reaching out to Perry Team Management _, or you can book her via our email at bookingbrands@gmail.com. Take a look at her Instagram. Not only is she a brand ambassador, social media influencer, an event host, podcaster, she is also a vocal talent as well. Lonnie got pipes on her. And she is also a mother, a nurturer, and a giving spirit. So you definitely want to reach out to us to get her booked so that she can elevate your brand. If you missed yesterday's episode of the Therapy Podcast, it is available on all platforms. We talked accountability. So tap into that. Accountability, the truth that we avoid. We did some self-reflection yesterday, and I'm not even gonna hold you. I cried after I got off live because I realized I do not take the best accountability, and I learned from myself. So tap into that episode and get your healing, where your healing is meeting your hustle. R&B night, May 8th. Oh, let me point that way. May 8th. 9:30 p.m. live on Facebook. And ladies, if you would like to be in the building, you can reach out to CJ and Terry, host of the show of the Get It Off Your Chest podcast, because they are hosting R&B night, aka Cut Nasty. Come out. They are singing to the mothers. This is Mother's Day edition. So if you want to be in the building, let us know. It is at BLE Studios. Otherwise, you can watch it on Facebook Live. Lastly, Battle of the Food Vendors, Saturday, May 9th at the Royal Mansion, 6240 Raytown Traffic Way from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. And your girl, Perry T, will be in the building. It is hosted by the Get It Off Your Chest podcast and Certified Redbone. Certified Redbone podcast. Certified Redbone. She is hosting with them as well. So come out. $10 is the entry for the ticket. Plenty of food vendors there. Come out, support. Try a little bit of everything. Whew. That'd be a lot. Okay, and we are welcome back to the Scary Parre Podcast. If you were just tuning in, I've had attorney Michael Belancio. I was going to say it wrong every time.
You still are.
I had him on, and we've been talking all things trial related to the cult process, how we can try cult leaders, which side would we rather be on, defense, prosecutors, how that looks like, or what that looks like. So if you missed that, you missed out on a treat, because we're down to our last 2 questions. So stay tuned in here, and as we knock these questions out and wrap up our show. You ready?
I'm ready enough.
Okay. What's the one thing you wish the public understood before judging the justice system?
You know, I think if you look at the entire world, the U.S. justice system is probably the top one out there, and it's broken, right? It's broken. It doesn't work perfectly. There are problems with it, but it's better than any of the other systems out there. And that goes for false convictions. And I think it's kind of nice that most prosecutors' offices now have what are called conviction integrity units, where they've got prosecutors dedicated to just going back over old case files to make sure that those cases from 30 or 40 years ago, when DNA wasn't all that prevalent, that the stuff's getting done to maybe right or wrong. So I really think that the U.S. system is something special. You know, and even though I'm on the prosecution side now, you know, it's a lot of people have problems with defense lawyers, but they're doing their job. And this system won't work but for them. And a lot of times their job is harm reduction. They get in there and poke holes in the state's case and get their client a better deal. Because the state, I mean, it's about playing the odds, right? It's somehow being a bookmaker, you know, being a lawyer is like being a bookmaker, right? All right, all the evidence in my favor. Here's the evidence against me. Here's what legal theory they're going to try and use. My witnesses are more charismatic than theirs, and will probably play to a jury better. Oh, that witness is dead. How am I going to make that point? So all of those things come together, and so it's like, what are the odds that I'm going to get the conviction I want? Versus, all right, could I get this lower level conviction? And maybe I should offer it to the other side because I don't, you know, that's how the sausage is made. And no one likes seeing how the sausage is made, but it's delicious.
Right. We like the end result.
Yeah. So I guess that's what I'd say is it's pretty good at the end of the day. And it gets a lot of things right, even though parts of it are broken. And, you know, and I'm talking about the court system at this point, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You may say the criminal justice system starts with, you know, the first cop that sees the guy doing something on the street or, you know, what's even cool now is as part of my continuing legal education every year, I have to take implicit bias classes. So the system's found that this is an issue, right? That race and gender come into play in the back of our mind. It's just become institutionalized there that we don't even realize it unless it comes to the forefront. And some of the courts have even created what's called an implicit bias instruction, telling the jurors that you may not think you've got any issues, but from time to time, these things that we don't even know about that have been so ingrained in us may cause you to have bias in this case. So we want you to take a deep breath and look at this hard when you're making your decision. And so, you know what I'm saying? It's a broke system is slowly trying to fix itself and make it better than it is. And I don't know a system out there that's not broke.
Okay. Good answer. And that's definitely, it was definitely good seeing that hearing that from your perspective. So thank you for that. That's probably going to be my clippable moment. That's what I'm clipping. So final question here. After everything you've seen, do you think justice is truly served in not only just criminal cases, but in cult-related cases as well?
I think the system is it's the best thing we've got for justice. I don't think it ever fixes the people that were harmed. I don't know that it ever gives them closure. I think when it comes down to it, gotta wait for God and the universe to actually truly give justice. And like I said, a lot of my life, I'd rather have mercy than justice, because if I got what I deserved, I'd be in a heap load of trouble with how many things I've messed up in this world. So, no, it's the best we've got, though, and it's a man-made system that attempts to give the best result it can. And here's where it saves us, is that without the rule of law, we're all bashing each other over the head with clubs and putting bullets in each other's heads to resolve disputes. And some people are doing that right now.
Yeah.
And, and instead of going fed and having the rule of law take care of it,
it's something about hearing you say that. It just tickles me.
It does. I mean, it's a bullshit excuse, but I hear people say it all the time. And it's funny to hear it, and it's funny when I say it, and it's funny when I say a lot of different things that you don't think are going to come out of my mouth. Like that part.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you so much. Again, I cannot truly thank you enough for coming on to the Scary Parre podcast again and answering the questions that I had. I know those questions are kind of all over the place, but once we get going, we get going. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy life, your busy day. You're a very busy man. So I appreciate you so much.
Always a pleasure to talk with you, Parre. I look forward to the next time.
Yes. And you, of course, well, what you guys don't know, and what he probably didn't know, which I'm executive decisioning it now, he'll be on once a month with me.
Oh, all right.
Yes. Surprise.
I definitely want 5% of the stars then, I'm kidding. It's my pleasure. This is fun to do.
Yes. So as time allows, and of course with his schedule, and then with Mila and I scheduling, the goal is to have him on once a month, but not just only as the lawyer aspect, just to get his perspective on other things as well. A lot of the questions we're going to be asking him are not going to be courtroom related questions coming up. We're going to dive just to get your perspective outside the courtroom too.
Well, hopefully I've been a halfway decent color commentator here. So we'll have fun. Thank you.
We will. So I want to thank you guys for tuning into the Scary Parre podcast. Be sure to stream the podcast. It will be on all other platforms tomorrow. And then you can go back and watch the Parre podcast episode that you missed last night. You can go on YouTube and see that. And it's on all platforms now. Thanks for tuning in. And on that note, good night.